in the bizarre position of trying to justify that his city is not completely out of control with crime, just as we saw from the media in D.C., where they had to constantly justify their city was not out of control with crime. Previously, we had Los Angeles, who was trying to justify how they were not completely out of control when it comes to crime. We're seeing a massive difference so far in Washington, D.C. And, D.C. is a unique circumstance. It's a federal district. There's all sorts of powers the federal government has there that they don't necessarily have in other places. So it's not going to be as easy to do this in other cities. But it's also setting up this clash of personalities. There's a story in Reason today. Brandon Johnson's Chicago is a preview of Zohran Mamdani's New York. And it's true. If you want to live in a world where your city is crumbling, where crime is rampant, where the economy is going into the tank, where you have city-run grocery stores that have no food in them, that's a world you want. You can have it. Like, it's available to you. It's available all around the world. You can go to Venezuela right now and check that out. You want that? You go to North Korea. They've got that sort of the empty shelves in grocery stores available in spades. You've got it all over the world, and now we're starting to get it in U.S. city after U.S. city, because when you implement these policies, this is what you get. It's not some crazy formula. We're not reaching into deep economic texts here, though they all support this idea and has been proven over and over again. These are basic things. If you want the government involved in every aspect of your life, if you want the economy to be controlled by somebody other than you, you can get that. It's an available option. It's just a bad option. The people in New York who are completely surrounded with bad options, let's be honest about it. I mean, when your other option is Andrew Cuomo, I can understand how I guess it's a difficult choice. But it's darker and darker and darker and darker. And these same choices are going to have to be made now by America as we go forward in the future. Like, Donald Trump is in a second term. He can do a lot of good things. He really is a person, unlike any other human being I've ever seen, seems to never get tired. He's 78 years old and just nonstop. Every day there's 4 or 5 new things you can talk about with some new policy he's pushing through or some new idea he has. He just does not tire. But now he is, president of the United States, working toward a different sort of country, a country he's trying to, rework a little bit, remix, move to a different vision, certainly to what we've had to go through over the past 4 years, and before that, the Barack Obama era. But that everyone now is positioning themselves for what's next. There's a bunch of redistricting news. We'll get into that today. And that's the next election we're going through. That's next year. Of course, then 2028 is up. And when you talk about this idea of Karen Bass in L.A., the D.C. situation, Johnson in Chicago, Mamdani potentially in New York, everyone's positioning themselves for their next step in the power struggle. And Gavin Newsom is probably the highest profile guy doing that. And Newsom is I don't know. Maybe people buy this. Maybe I am so out of touch with the American people that maybe they will fall for the lead actor in American Psycho. Maybe that will be a thing. Maybe they want that. Maybe they want a guy who, by all appearances, seems to carry all of the characteristics of a serial killer from a movie portrayed in the 80s. I don't know. It's possible. I can't put it past the United States. They elected a guy who was in the second syllable of the word dementia when he was elected. And he progressed to the last syllable during his public time in office. perhaps they would elect someone like Gavin Newsom. But is it just me? Is it possible that we maybe as Americans are still capable of seeing through someone who is so clearly trying so hard? You might look at your life and hope that you can make some good friends and have a good spouse and have a great family. But I have to break this to you. You, in your entire life, will never find anyone who loves you as much as Gavin Newsom loves Gavin Newsom. There will never be a relationship in your life, your children, your spouse, your mother, your father. No one will love you like Gavin Newsom loves Gavin Newsom. It will never occur. It's the type of relationship that, I said I wasn't going to bring it up, but you hope that Travis and Taylor can get to at some point, but they never will. They will never love each other as much as Gavin Newsom loves that mirror. This dude loves himself. And it's funny because he's constantly remaking himself to try to garner the attention of whatever audience he feels benefits him at that moment. That is really the extent of it. What gets him more power, more money, more attention, more clicks? That's all he's doing. A big chunk of California is back on fire. I don't know if anyone's noticed this. Maybe Gavin will notice this one because it's wine country. I hope it doesn't hit anywhere near the French Laundry. He's got half of his state burned down last year. A big chunk of it's on fire again. And what is he doing? He's tweeting. He's tweeting at the president. He's releasing new merch. This is who this guy is. And every single step of the way, there's been a new Gavin Newsom. He's like a software release. Gavin Newsom comes out, then they release it. It's Gavin Newsom 2.0 and 3.0. I think the new iPhone is coming out soon. He's got more versions than there are iPhones. Go back to the beginning. Gavin Newsom, back in the day, he's this, Gavin Newsom 1.0 was this rising star of the Democratic Party. Gavin Newsom, Democrat rising star. The fresh-faced California golden boy coming up, hyped as the party's future. Some people bought that, but it's the beginning. He gets into mayor of San Francisco. Is that really, long-term? Maybe he can turn that into the presidency. It certainly was his thought, even at that time. And then Gavin Newsom 2.0 was Gavin Newsom Playboy. Right, he was the guy, he was the ladies' man. And one of the ways he made sure that you knew he was the ladies' man is by breaking, I don't know, if you have a pyramid of infidelity, okay, at the, maybe at the bottom, it's a cheating on your high school girlfriend, I don't know, and then you raise that up, and it's eventually a few steps up from that, it's cheating on your wife, which is really, really bad. And then it gets higher than that. There's several steps. And at the very top, I would say, of the infidelity pyramid is sleeping with your best friend's wife. That's Gavin Newsom Playboy edition. Sleeping, it's one thing. You have this guy who is not only his best friend, but also helping him through his career, helping him climb the political ladder in California, working closely with him every single day, but apparently not every single night, because while he was working alone at night, Gavin Newsom was also working his wife. You want to talk about a bro code violation. That's got to be number one, right? That's as bad as you can possibly get. We've churned out a lot of garbage in this country. There's been a lot of trash that the United States has pushed out over the years. Some great people, too. Lots of them. More than maybe any other country in history. But we've also, screwed up from time to time. We've got our serial killers, we've got our mass shooters, and we've got our Gavin Newsoms. Then Gavin Newsom 3.0 was the anti-Trump tough guy. He's out there talking about Trump all the time, criticizing Trump. He was the guy that was going to stand up. He was a resistance warrior. Then Gavin Newsom 4.0 was released, and that was Gavin Newsom, the DEI warrior. He was the guy that was going to promote every single race and color. He was going to take the most important characteristics that everyone has, their skin color and their genitals, and make all decisions based on that. Because at that time, that's what benefited him. Now, he at one point, this is like in 2019, he's governor, and it's right before COVID, and he's got a decision to make on, some high-level health, basically the HHS secretary of California, if you will. And he is in the middle of figuring out who to promote. He's got an infectious disease expert who is in line for the job. Everyone expects her to get the job. The problem with her, though, is she's white and blonde. So she doesn't get the job. She's passed over for someone who doesn't know what they're doing, but is the right color. And he puts her in the position right before COVID. Now, look, as we all can sit here and remember, not every disease expert did things that we would necessarily approve of. As conservatives, as people who care about our liberty, I'm sure we would disagree with, whoever he put in there as far as policy goes. But instead, he put in someone who was completely incompetent, to the point where they actually were hiding her from reporters at press conferences. They weren't inviting her to meetings about COVID. And they were pushing out the actual experts from the meetings before that. So that was Gavin Newsom as he steps in. DEI master. Then, of course, Gavin Newsom 5.0 was released, which was Gavin Newsom COVID dictator. Longest lockdowns. Most extreme policies. The guy who, if you were to look back and say, who were the worst offenders during this period, you'd probably see Andrew Cuomo first, let's be honest about it. But secondly, you're probably going to see Gavin Newsom. And he was the first guy who really locked down, even before Andrew Cuomo. Cuomo was still in his previous release, which was, this is no big deal at all. Then you had the Queen of Versailles, Gavin Newsom, who decided, while, yes, of course, everyone else should be locked down, I should be going out to dinner indoors. He's at the French Laundry, rolling out Gavin Newsom 6.0. Then Gavin Newsom 7.0 came out. There's probably a 6.1, 6.2 I'm missing in here, but Gavin Newsom 7.0 came out. That one was, hey, it seems like, this is at the point where Trump, maybe not looking like the favorite for 2024. The favorite for 2024 looks like Ron DeSantis. So what does Gavin Newsom turn into? Ron DeSantis. He tries to be, I'm Mr. Competent Governor. I can debate. In fact, despite the idea that as of now, he's not even running for president, I'm going to debate Ron DeSantis on Fox News. That's Gavin Newsom. Super competent debater man. There's even more. We could keep going on this. But quick, let's take a break for Good Ranchers. Imagine walking through your local grocery store, pushing down a cart down the meat aisle and thinking you're buying American beef. And then the packaging has a flag on it, maybe even the words product of the USA. But the catch is it doesn't have to be from America at all. Under current rules, foreign meat can be processed here and still carry that label, which means you're paying for something you didn't actually get. And meanwhile, American ranchers are left struggling. Good partners directly, with farmers in our communities. It's important, right? You want to have a good partner, and Good Ranchers are those good partners. 100% American. Every box you order stands for real transparency and a way to put the dollars into the hands of people who still believe in doing things the right way. With Good Ranchers, you're not only feeding your family, you're protecting a legacy worth holding on to. So visit goodranchers.com, see what the excitement's about, and shop American meat that you can trust. If you use the code BECK today, you'll get $40 off plus free meat for life. The code is BECK, $40 off, free meat for life when you start a new subscription. It's goodranchers.com. Welcome to the table. Goodranchers.com. 10-second station ID. We're going through the release notes of Gavin Newsom here on the Glenn Beck Program. And we've gone through 7 versions so far. There's a couple more. You'll, of course, remember Gavin Newsom 8.0, the party line man. Yeah, he was, at first he was this guy who was out there. He's debating Ron DeSantis. He looks like he's running for president. It's kind of weird, right? Because Joe Biden's the candidate. Joe Biden's the president of the United States at the time. And then, of course, you have this escalation to, it looks like Biden's going to continue to run. Newsom doesn't know what to do with himself because he's positioned himself to be the guy. And the party is cracking down on him and saying, hey, Gavin, get in your lane. This is not your gig. So Gavin Newsom becomes party man, defending Joe Biden, the number one guy out there telling you Joe Biden is completely fine. Nothing's wrong with Joe Biden. Biden's the man. He's super, he's sharp as a tack. I don't know if you've heard that. So we go through this whole thing. Then the debate happens. Who's out there saying he's still fine? Gavin Newsom. Tons of people in the Democratic Party are saying this guy can't run. You can't have another Biden term. Who's out there defending him all the way? Gavin Newsom, party man. He's the party line, Gavin Newsom 8.0. Then there's Gavin Newsom 9.0. You might remember relatively recently he became an anti-DEI centrist. Yes, he just couldn't believe the idea that you would let men play in women's sports. What? He's cracking down on such things because he can relate to you. This Democratic Party seems to have gone too far, Then, I think there was a Gavin Newsom 9.1 release where he became a manosphere podcaster and started talking to, Charlie Kirk and saying, oh, Charlie Kirk, my son loves you. He wanted to stay home from school to talk to you, Charlie Kirk, because you're so relatable. I'm having all the right-wing guests on because I can understand them. We might not agree on everything, but here I'm basically Joe Rogan. Now, that's me because that worked previously. I remember it happening in 2024. It seemed to work for Trump, so I'm going to jump on that bandwagon. And that all leads up to, of course, the newest release, Gavin Newsom 10.0, a social media troll. And you might think, oh, well, this guy, he's mocking Trump. He's got the capital letter, tweets. He's always doing this while his state is burning to the ground. He's on Twitter. And you might think, wow, this is an interesting approach to win in 2028. But of course, it's not. It's got nothing to do with what he's going to be doing in 2028. There'll be 12 other versions of Gavin Newsom that'll be released before then. This is what he does. Right now, his task is lining up donors, getting social media excitement for his primary campaign that will come up in 2027. He's working on that Gavin Newsom right now, and when he needs to be a different one, he'll just change to a different one. He's absolutely soulless. Back in a second.
This is Glenn Beck.
Well, every family has a closet or a box somewhere filled with tapes and reels and photographs that used to be the centerpiece of life. Weddings and birthdays and holidays and moments you can never recreate. But the sad reality is those tapes are breaking down. The film is fading. And even if it were in perfect condition, most of us don't even have the equipment to play them anymore. That's why Legacy Box exists. They take all those old memories, they transfer them to a modern digital format that will last for generations. And it's not, just about nostalgia. It's about making sure your children and your grandchildren can see the same smiles and hear the same voices that you remember. It's preserving a family legacy, one that deserves to be protected just as much as anything else that you pass down. Legacy Box makes it simple and safe and secure. Your memories deserve better than a box in the attic. They deserve to be lived again. So don't let life fade away on old tapes. Digitize and future-proof those priceless moments. Fast forward into the digital age with Legacy Box. Go to legacybox.com/records. Legacybox.com/records today. Get 50% off your order. It's legacybox.com/records. All right, tons more to talk about. We're going to have Jeff Fisher in here in just a moment. Head over to glennbeck.com. Get a free email newsletter as well. It's every story we talk about every day. Welcome back. 888-727-BECK is the phone number. It's Stu and Jeffy in for Glenn today. He is out sick, sadly. Well, what happened was he tried to do the president's physical fitness test. He tried to do, he tried to do 50 pull-ups and 100 push-ups, and in between push-up 1 and 2, he fell ill and was not able to.
I'm not making fun of that.
No,
because that could happen to any one of us.
It really can. I want to get into that. Maybe we should get into that again. I would love to get your opinion on that whole thing. Because, Jeffy really was the original face of the MAHA movement. Make America Healthy Again. That's Jeffy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's the title of my biography. Everything in moderation.
But I want to finish off on Gavin Newsom here. And I think because the world moves fast, and I think because whatever's happening right now is the thing everybody's thinking about, we forget how ridiculous these transitions are with Gavin Newsom. Go back to Newsom. This is just a few months ago. I mentioned it briefly before. This is when he's a Manosphere podcaster for 2 weeks. Here is Gavin Newsom. Now think about the person you know now. The person who's screaming about Trump all the time, trying to appeal to like the farthest leftist, trying to appeal to AOC and Jasmine Crockett and their audiences. This same guy, a couple months earlier, is talking to Charlie Kirk like this.
Last night, trying to put my son to bed, he's like, "No, Dad, what time? What time's Charlie going to be here? What time?" And I'm like, "Dude, you're in school tomorrow." He's 13. He's like, no. This morning, wakes up at 6 something. He's like, "I'm coming." I'm like, he literally would not leave the house.
Did you let him take off school?
No, he did. Of course not. He's not here for a good reason. But the point is
you canceled school for like 2 years. One day.
The point is the point, which is you are making a damn dent.
Thank you. I'm kidding.
When you go to these college campuses, I love watching your TikTok, which is next level. And clearly, that's expressed by my 13-year-old son.
I want to meet this guy.
Yeah, I actually.
He's coming to a Turning Point event this summer, Tampa, Florida, Student Action Summit.
By the way, a very funny line from Charlie Kirk. You close schools for 2 years. You can't get the game 1 day off. But like, who is that guy? That guy is a completely different human being than the one that is out there today. He has a totally different personality. He is a totally different human being, and that's because he's decided this is what's best for him. Right?
Oh my gosh!
Right now, that is the Gavin Newsom that benefits Gavin Newsom.
Absolutely.
And in 3 or 6 months, it may be something totally different. Whatever he needs to be, he will become. And it's possible the American people fall for that. It's just embarrassing if they do. But this is what we're seeing in California. We're seeing all these cities kind of melt down across America, and Trump looking to potentially step in. Chicago's a fascinating example of this, Jeffy. And
are we all for that? We're ready to move in to let him take over?
Well, no, I don't. DC,
they aren't.
They aren't.
They are not. They are.
Trump,
for
I think,
sure.
is ready. As soon as this DC thing is over, I don't know that it's one part about this that's an issue is it's not a sustainable approach. You can't just send the National Guard into city after city after city or all cities at once. It's not a way to necessarily solve crime, but it can be helpful, certainly for a period. Now, DC is a little different. He's only got 30 days in DC.
It's coming. I mean, we're
already
14, something like that, right? 13, 14, something like that.
Basically 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
We've seen real dramatic decreases in crime.
Absolutely, they have.
In most types of crime, at least. 0 murders.
Right, and they're used to have, what, every other day? At least one every other day.
I love the bragging of this. We're all like, oh, can you believe this? This city hasn't had a murder in 2 weeks. Wow.
I know. I know.
When did that become something you brag about? I mean, it's true. It is quite an accomplishment in that city. But what an embarrassing fact that is.
No question. And they don't care because Trump is bad. And we don't care that you're saving lives. If it just saved one life. Yeah, it saved a bunch.
Yeah.
And we still don't want it.
No, they don't want it in D.C. But in D.C., there's really no question he has the legal authority to do it.
Yeah.
We start getting into more and more questionable lines the more this expands. And the only thing we can do is look at these as on a case-by-case basis, look at the justification utilized. I mean, I think there was some justification for it in L.A. at the time. We will have to see what they do in Chicago and judge it on its merits.
There are plenty of residents in Chicago that would say, yeah, come on in.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, we played a clip earlier this morning that, CNN's, their man on the street interviews, and they've got this young African-American female they find on the street, and she's like, I do want them to come in. I want to feel safe. And the CNN reporter is like, don't you...
we could seriously do your reenactment of this or just play the clip. Those are the two options on the table.
You need,
I'm fine with you reenacting it. Honestly, I kind of like it so far, but we do have the clip. Let's listen. Let's listen to this. Is a CNN clip, again, talking to a Chicago resident.
My first reaction was that this is a good thing. I think that the governor as well as the mayor should be on board with it just so we can get a bit more of security in Chicago the way that we need.
Yeah. The crime has dropped since 2024. Do you feel like the city feels safer?
No,
no,
not at all.
No,
especially with the police being defunded.
Yeah, don't you feel crime?
I will say, I've been doing this job a long time. You have instincts. Jeffy recreating that interview would have been a disaster. I gotta say,
what?
I nailed it. By the way, you're welcome. Network of 500 radio stations. I didn't have Jeffy recreate that clip.
Come on.
We just listened to it. I do think that is how people feel.
Yeah.
Sure, there are people who dislike Trump. Sure, there are people who are going to be against Trump no matter what. But the average person who doesn't look at everything through a political lens says, we've got a big problem here. I would like someone to solve it. That's not always available, right? Because there are process and rules and restrictions that you have to deal with. But all things being equal, most people would like a larger police presence in areas where there's lots of crime.
Absolutely. Everybody, everyone wants to go to 7-Eleven and get a Slurpee and pump their gas without being hassled, without being robbed.
Yes.
I mean, everyone wants that.
Yes.
Right?
These are basic human requests. I don't think we all expect to be given, lifestyles of the rich and famous. No. We don't expect that. What we do expect it would be nice. Okay. What we do expect is a general level of safety.
Absolutely.
Where our kids can go to school and come home. We can go to work and make it back. We don't get robbed on the way. And you do, and you know this too, Jeffy, from living and working in New York and in cities throughout America.
Yes.
You start to tolerate.
You sure do.
A weird set of everyday events.
That just happens. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That just happens.
Yeah. It's like you just walk in, you just got, you got rats crawling all over your feet as you're in the subway. You've got people attacking each other. You've got a human being just peeing on a pole right in front of you. You have someone screaming insults, threats.
I know.
You act like you don't hear them. You move along. There are smells you've never experienced that you just deal with on a day-to-day basis.
That is true.
This is life in the city. And when you're in the city, because I've seen these interviews with people talking about this, they will say, look, our city, people are making it seem like our city's this dump and it's like, it's this crazy area where there's crime all the time. I mean, sure, you'll get mugged every once in a while. And sure, we've all had our windows broken, but come on, it's not that bad. if you are accepting it, yes, it is that bad.
Yeah.
That is unacceptable, which is what I think Trump's message is here.
Yeah, and he's trying to solve the issue of the way it is. The
baseline level.
I won't reenact for you, but I did see. I saw footage of the police arresting a carjacker, and he was like, "Why are you arresting me? I'm just going to go down there, and they're going to let me out." He already knows how the system works.
Yeah,
and so, no, dude, you were trying to steal someone's car. Is the whole base point of this?
Yes, right, and you should go to prison, and you shouldn't get out for the maximum time allowed by law, right? That we see this over and over again. If you go and you put police in an area of high crime, that crime level comes down. We know that. But if these people get arrested, go to jail for overnight, and then are released the next day, or maybe don't even get into jail at all, it almost doesn't matter. And actually, these police are put in a situation where they're in danger.
Yes.
Because now you're releasing all these people. They're responsible for arresting them. Over time, they learn this, of course, as well. They're much more aware of it than the everyday person. And they're like, well, maybe we shouldn't bother. Why am I going to go into that really dangerous district where people get shot all the time, risk my life, risk my family's future, to arrest someone who's going to be back walking behind me the next day?
And absolutely, that's what Trump is trying to do. And that actually is a good. It's a good thing.
It is. It's a great thing. Again, you got to do it. Of course, you have to do it within the Constitution. You have to do it within the law. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about that. We don't know. We don't know what every step of this is yet. A lot of this might just be. He's going to wind up. He's good at this. He winds up making big statements and sort of threatening X, Y, and Z. And then X, Y, and Z have a way of reversing themselves. We've seen this with tariff threats. We've seen this with the border. That doesn't mean he probably isn't going to send the National Guard to every city in America. He wants it, though, to sound that way. That's one of the fascinating differences of Trump versus every other politician and every other president. Like most people, if you accuse them of saying, well, you're going to come into every city.
Oh, no, not every city.
No. We're doing it this way, and we're doing it by the law, and here's why we're doing it. They will downplay it. They will say, no, what I'm proposing is much more responsible. We would never do that. What does Donald Trump say? I'm the president. I can do anything I want. Now, I think that is legitimately, it's not an exact quote, but he basically said that in the cabinet meeting yesterday.
Certainly could be, yeah.
Yeah, he basically said it in the cabinet meeting. I'm president. I can do whatever I want. Now, we all know by watching him as being president for 4.5 years now that he doesn't do anything he wants. He listens to the Supreme Court. He likes to say he's not going to listen to the Supreme Court, but he listens to the Supreme Court. We should get into the flag amendment maybe a little bit later in the details on it. But when you look at that, you say, well, the Supreme Court ruled, burning the flag is a First Amendment issue. And everyone's like, well, Trump is ignoring the Supreme Court. Read the freaking executive order. It doesn't do anything. In fact, it specifically says it's got nothing to do with speech.
Except that's just not the way it's presented from him.
And that's what's funny is, George W. Bush, he would say things and the media would take them and make them look 10 times worse. Donald Trump just cuts the corner. He'll just make it seem way more aggressive and over the line from his mouth. And then what he does is sort of the opposite of that. A lot of times it's very much in line.
He doesn't even know what he's talking about.
Right. It's fascinating. We should get into that a little bit more. Also, there is because even Joe Scarborough is confused as to what is going on with these mayors. Wow. And Joe Scarborough, by the way, when we talk about releases, and he's got about 10 different personalities he's released over the years as well. But he is completely baffled by the Chicago mayor's responses to these basic questions. We'll get into that here coming up in just a sec. It's Stu and Jeffy in for Glenn, who is out sick today. Let me tell you about Cozy Earth. There are a lot of places you can cut corners in life, and I have a huge passion for this particular issue. The comfortability of your sleep, of your sheets, of your bed. These are not corners you should cut. Because when you're lying awake at night, tangled up in heavy, scratchy sheets that hold, heat like a sauna, you're not resting. You're just sweating. Jeffy, would you like to comment?
You're just sweating.
You're just sweating. Cozy Earth has changed the entire comfort game with their ultra-soft, breathable bedding that regulates temperature like nothing else. It just doesn't feel good when you first climb into bed. It feels good all night long. That's why people love these sheets. I love these sheets. They're on my bed right now. They were very, very comfortable just a few hours ago. Shouldn't that kind of time where you're sleeping be the most refreshing part of your day? It should, and Cozy Earth is going to make it that way. They do a great job, and make sure you can actually wake up ready to live your life, because rest isn't a luxury. It is a necessity. You need it. CozyEarth.com. Use the code BECK. Get 40% off the softest bedding, bathware, and other apparel. They got a great line of everything, basically. The sheets are fantastic, but they've got so much more. CozyEarth.com. CozyEarth.com. The promo code is BECK. Cozy Earth, built for real life and made to keep up with your life. It's Cozy Earth.
More Glenn Beck coming up next.
All right, Brick House Nutrition, Labor Day sale they've got going on. If you've ever heard of this, it's a big deal. It's gone live. It's only around for a short time. And for just a few days, you can take 25% off everything. This means that you can start the fall season strong, reset your health goals, and actually save big while you're at it. Stock up, because this is a big discount. This is a serious sale, and it includes their best-selling weight loss formula. This is Lean, if you've ever heard of it. It's great. They have got doctor-formulated Lean designed to help your body turn excess fat into usable energy, reduce your appetite, and curb the midday cravings, so that, because that often sabotages your progress. I know, Jeffy, you never had any issues with this, but except for some people, that midday will bounce you around a little bit. Also, a clean and effective way to hit your weight loss goals without injections or prescriptions or any of that. They also got Field of Greens. This is a daily go-to. Your fruit and vegetable blend packs real nutrition into your routine. All the fruits and vegetables you were always supposed to eat and haven't been. Brickhouse guarantees your doctor will notice the difference in your health or your money back. Sale doesn't stop there. You can also pick up Radiance, their super collagen booster that supports skin and joint health, and even their brand new Brickhouse Whey protein. I have this. It's really good. Every single one of these favorites is marked down for this event, and every single one qualifies for the full 25% savings. Head over to brickhousenutrition.com. Use the code LaborDay25. Get 25% off. It's brickhousenutrition.com. Code is LaborDay25.
I'm curious, would you also like to get federal funding to help put 5,000 more cops on the street in Chicago? Would that help drive down crime?
Of course it would.
Well, look, policing by itself is not the full strategy.
No, I understand that. You've talked about the other things you want, and I said those are good and important programs, but I'm asking also, would 5,000 more police officers on the street in Chicago be helpful to go along with all of those social programs that a lot of cities are engaging in and having success with?
The answer is yes.
Well, look, here's the best way I can put it, Joe, is that in the 90s when I was in high school, we had 3,000 more police officers, and we had 900 people being murdered every single year in Chicago. It's just not policing alone. Of course, we want more detectives.
I know it's not policing alone. But I know it's not policing alone. You've told me everything else you want.
Look at the
white. This does come out with the arm.
An ideological difference between people. Do you believe that the streets of Chicago would be safer if there were more uniformed police officers on the streets of Chicago?
I believe the city of Chicago and cities across America would be safer if we actually had, affordable housing.
All right, stop. We're never going to get to this answer. Amazing.
That's awesome.
If you're listening on radio, you miss the visual of Mika reaching over and trying to calm down her husband in the middle of a question.
Touching his arm.
Fascinating. Back with more in a second.
This is Glenn Beck.